I initially wanted the concept for this video to be about things that we should all stop doing, but I did not like the wording of that. So instead, I would like to say that these are things that we should all at least consider to start doing. Wording is important, and that'll be number 4 on this list. But first comes number 1. Stop depriving yourself of things that you believe will bring good into your life and start giving yourself permission to enjoy those things. So I recently got myself an espresso machine. As an avid instant coffee drinker, I now go to sleep longing for my first cup, so it's added yet another thing to look forward to in the morning. Between 6 and 8, the coffee aroma lingers in my kitchen, and I'll sometimes pretend like I'm sitting at a cafe in a small town in Italy somewhere. Through this purchase, I have found a new hobby, practicing latte art. So every single morning, I'm honing a new skill, I'm learning something, and I like starting my day like that. Life is just too short for shitty coffee and other shitty things for that matter.
Say cheers!
But sometimes you just don't know how bad something is until you try something better. Stop repeating old patterns and start identifying what's repeatedly causing negative emotion in your life and do something about it. Speaking of buying stuff, my new camera backpack arrived 2 days ago. Yeah, this YouTuber right here was throwing all of her expensive camera gear in a tote bag all this time because while not ideal, it still worked, right? Sure. It works until you're in a situation where organization is key, like when you're traveling. Cut to me in Spain recently, constantly losing things and having to look way too long to find what I needed, leading to unnecessary stress and frustration. Well, this was real bloody smart of you, wasn't it, Lana? I've always prided myself in being an organized person, but life's changed in the past few years. You know, anywhere I go, I bring my personal belongings, I bring my camera stuff, I bring Fred, and I bring Fred stuff. It's been an adjustment and a lot to carry for a small girl like myself. And I've turned into the person who asks everyone all the time if they've seen my memory card, and don't we all just love that person? Well, at least I haven't lost Fred. Yet. Good thing I don't keep him in a tote bag, or else he would be long gone.
This is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Stop blaming others and start taking accountability. Speaking of losing things, don't we all love blaming everything on everyone else all the time? Oh, I lost my phone charger because Carol was talking so much and I got distracted and I misplaced it. Don't blame this on Carol. I choose a silly example because with more serious situations, it's more complicated. But the reality is that blaming our decisions, our mistakes, and our circumstances on someone or something else, it feels good. You know, we don't want to look ourselves in the eye and say, you did this. That stuff can really hurt. Now, I know that this can be a touchy subject because it's not uncommon for someone else to literally be the root cause of our problems. So do we not have the right to blame them for our suffering? This is not about rights. It's not about who did what. This is about what is helpful for you and what isn't. So there is this saying, it's not your fault, but it is your problem. And to me, that means that it's not helpful for me to blame Carol every time I lose something. What is helpful is for me to take a step back and ask myself, why does this thing keep happening to me in the first place? To give myself something to work with. Stop being sloppy with your words and start realizing their power. Negative self-talk. So remember I said I would cuss myself out when not finding what I needed in my tote bag? I do the same when I drop something, or when I walk into something, or when I film footage and realize that a tiny bit of hair has been stuck on the lens. Well, that was really stupid, wasn't it? Imagine speaking like that to someone else. Talking to myself kindly has required work. Good news is that I've gotten to a point where whenever I catch myself doing it, I'm always quick to correct myself and to think, well, that was an unnecessary reaction, Lana. And then I pat myself on the shoulder. Stop projecting your past experiences on others and start realizing that not everyone has gone through what you have gone through. So formulating this next one is quite tricky and I don't really know how much sense it's gonna make. I sometimes feel, this is gonna sound really weird, I sometimes feel like one of the reasons that I was put on this earth was to help people out of uncomfortable situations and to make other people feel included. And now you may think, well, how is that supposed to be a bad thing exactly? Well, it's not inherently bad. However, it can easily turn you into a person who constantly overextends themselves, where you're always the one volunteering to be the odd one out, to make a fool out of yourself, to bring the attention off of the other person who seems embarrassed or something. Okay, so an example of this could be something like being at the carnival with two friends and insisting on riding alone on the twin rides because you don't want any of your friends to feel left out. You know, many of our behaviors stem from our early days. Like, if you were excluded, you're likely to be more aware of other people being excluded and trying to include them. You turn into this person that you wish you had growing up. It's like the adult you is looking after little you, even though it doesn't work like that. And I guess that's what I'm realizing. Little me's needs aren't everyone else's needs, and they may not even be adult me's needs, if that makes sense. Most people probably don't need me to overextend myself to make them feel comfortable or included. They're fine. Stop excusing people's behavior and start setting boundaries. I think many of us here in this community are interested in psychology and human behavior, and I have a feeling that we are quite compassionate. And I just want to remind you of the importance of having boundaries. This topic is so important and absolutely deserves its very own conversation. But when you learn about trauma and how our life experiences shape us, it's easy to start cutting people too much slack. Example, well, they cussed me out because their father treated them poorly when they grew up. So now, whenever we have an argument, he enters fight or flight mode because he always felt like he had to fight for his dad's love. So even if that is true, you are never, ever someone else's punching bag. You can understand someone without accepting their behavior. You know, those are two completely different things. So please write that down as a reminder if you need to. I'll see you all again very soon. Also, a small reminder that I have a podcast, and it's called the Lana Podcast. It's out every Tuesday. It can be found everywhere that podcasts can be found. All right, bye.